The battle lines are drawn, the tension is rising, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Game 4 between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers isn't just another playoff game, it might be the defining moment of this entire series. After a jaw-dropping comeback in Game 3, the Knicks have flipped the script, and now the pressure squarely shifts to Indiana. Momentum has changed hands, tempers are flaring, and both teams know exactly what this game means. Lose it, and you're playing. Catch up, win it, and you're one massive step closer to the Eastern Conference Finals. Buckle up because everything is on the line. After a stunning Game 3 turnaround, the Knicks roll into Game 4 with a brand new sense of belief. What looked like a runaway blowout for Indiana turned into a statement win for New York one that could potentially swing the entire trajectory of the series. And let's be honest, if you had told anyone at halftime that the Knicks, who trailed by 20 and looked completely out of sync, would storm back to steal a win on the road, most wouldn't have believed you. But that's exactly what happened. And now the spotlight moves to Game 4 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Pacers are out for revenge. What makes Game 4 so fascinating is how both teams now have to respond. Indiana has been excellent at bouncing back after tough losses. They did it against Milwaukee, they did it against Cleveland, and now they'll need to do it again. For the Knicks, this isn't just about keeping their foot on the gas, it's about survival, consistency, and proving that Game 3 wasn't just a fluke. This is a battle of momentum versus resilience, and history tells us both teams are dangerous when pushed. Karl Anthony Towns will be the name on everyone's lips heading into this one. He exploded in the fourth quarter of Game 3 with a near-perfect display, scoring 20 of his 29 points in that final period alone, shooting the lights out from deep and completely taking over. But what was most important wasn't just the number, it was how he got them. When the Knicks allowed him to face up instead of posting up, Indiana had no answer. His quick first step, his size, his range, it all came together in one of the most clutch playoff performances of the season. The question now is, can the Knicks unlock that version of Towns again? Because if they can, Indiana might be in serious trouble. Meanwhile, New York's rotation in Game 3 might have unlocked a new weapon. When Brunson and Towns were sidelined with foul trouble, the Knicks turned to a unit that, on paper, looked offensively limited, but instead of falling apart, they fall. Deuce McBride's impact was massive. His three-pointer to close the third quarter cut the deficit to 10, and his defense helped stall Indiana's offensive rhythm. That stretch might have been the unsung turning point of the game. If McBride continues to play like that, he becomes a game changer, especially when it comes to containing Tyrese Haliburton. Speaking of Haliburton, the Pacers will be relying heavily on him to dictate the tempo in Game 4. He was electric early in Game 3, orchestrating Indiana's offense with flair, knocking down big shots, and igniting the crowd. But once the Knicks adjusted and tightened up defensively, especially with McBride checking in, the Pacers' offense fell apart. They went cold, started playing ISO-heavy basketball, and the ball movement that had defined their earlier success completely vanished. That can't happen again. For Indiana to bounce back, they need to rediscover that free-flowing offense fast. Another key element heading into this must-watch showdown is how the Knicks manage Brunson's minutes and his foul trouble. He's their engine, their closer, and without him in the fourth, it was a bit of a surprise that New York still found a way to finish strong. He only played 31 minutes and struggled with efficiency, but the fact that the Knicks could survive that and still win, that says a lot about the depth and grit of this team. Still, they can't afford to let him get into foul trouble again, especially if Game 4 turns into a possession-by-possession battle late. Then, there's OG Anunoby, who might not have had the flashiest night, but was one of the Knicks' most reliable performers throughout Game 3. He gave them two-way stability when chaos was unfolding all around him. Hitting timely threes, contesting shots, rotating defensively, Anunoby was quietly crucial in keeping New York within reach before the big surge. Don't be surprised if he ends up playing a massive role again in Game 4, especially with how unpredictable this series has become. Let's not forget, Indiana is no stranger to adversity, and history says they respond with violence after setbacks. Game 4 against Milwaukee, dominant win. Game 4 against Cleveland, another offensive explosion in both those games. They shot the ball extremely well and reasserted their identity. The Knicks should expect the Pacers to come out swinging in this one. Their backs against the wall, this team tends to play fast, loose, and aggressive, which can either light up the scoreboard or lead to mistakes. That's why this matchup is dripping with suspense. Both teams have shown they can win in hostile environments. Both teams have had moments where they've looked unbeatable and others where they've completely lost the plot. It's why Game 4 is now the axis on which the entire series tilts. Win it and you set the tone headed back to Madison Square Garden. Lose it and you're suddenly chasing ghosts. In the next section, we'll break down the potential adjustments, key matchups, and tactical shifts that could shape Game 4. Because with emotions running high and every possession about to matter more than ever, this one promises to be an all-out war. Game 4 is going to be a chess match, not just a fight. And it starts with how both coaches respond to what unfolded in Game 3. For New York, the biggest decision might revolve around how they manage Karl Anthony Towns offensively. The difference in his performance when facing up versus backing down was night and day. If the Knicks commit to using Towns in that mid-post or perimeter area, where he can take defenders off the dribble or rise up for threes, it forces Indiana into a lose-lose scenario. Let him go one-on-one, and he's too skilled. Send a double, and you're leaving a shooter wide open. The Knicks have to lean into this advantage. It's the kind of mismatch that can flip an entire series if used correctly. But it's not just about how Towns scores. It's also about how he avoids foul trouble. That's going to be critical. His presence on the floor in the fourth quarter was the reason New York completed that comeback. They can't afford to lose him for stretches again, especially with the Pacers likely ramping up physicality early to try and bait him. Keeping Cat composed and on the court might just be the difference between winning and losing. On the flip side, Indiana has a serious question to answer defensively. How do they stop this version of Towns? They tried Turner, they tried Siakam, and neither had answers once he got going. If Indiana sticks with single coverage, it may come down to help defense and fast rotations. If they gamble with double teams, they need to rotate perfectly because New York has guys like Anunoby and DiVincenzo who can punish you from the corners. And don't overlook McBride either. If he finds confidence from deep, it gives the Knicks yet another pressure release valve. Then there's the Brunson problem. We've seen what he's capable of when he's in rhythm, but Game 3 showed how things can unravel when he gets pulled from his game. Indiana's strategy has been clear all series long, hunt Brunson on defense, drag him into every pick and roll, and force him into foul situations. But with McBride playing such a key role, the Knicks now have the option to hide Brunson more often and rely on McBride to take the toughest perimeter assignments. That's a wrinkle Indiana wasn't ready for. Now, they'll need to find ways to expose other matchups, maybe targeting DiVincenzo, or even trying to isolate Towns again if they can catch him switched on to quicker guards. For the Pacers, their entire offensive identity is built on movement, speed, and flow. But that rhythm completely broke down in the second half of Game 3. It turned into stagnant isolations and late clock heaves. That's not who they are. Expect Indiana to emphasize early offense and quick decisions in Game 4. Haliburton in particular will need to be aggressive, not just as a passer, but as a scorer. When he's assertive, everything opens up for the rest of the team. If he's passive or hesitant like we saw late in Game 3, the offense falls apart. Another huge variable, the Pacers' three-point shooting. They were ice cold in that fourth quarter collapse, but this team can heat up in a hurry, especially at home. When they're hitting shots, they become one of the most dangerous teams in the league. Players like Buddy Hield and Andrew Nembhard have to show up. Hield especially has been quiet, and if he finds his stroke, it could tilt the floor and pull Knicks defenders away from the paint. That's where Indiana wants to live, inside-out basketball, using the three to open up driving lanes. If the shots fall early, New York could be in for a long night. But what's most important to understand about this Game 4 is that it's not just about tactics anymore, it's about mentality. Both teams know each other inside and out. The game plans are on the table. Now, it comes down to execution and who wants it more. Can the Knicks carry that emotional high from Game 3 into another battle in enemy territory? Or will the Pacers do what they've done all postseason: respond, reset, and dominate the next